The slideshow.
Welcome to Building Trust Within IT. A fantastic presentation that's been put together by Todd Sector and Elizabeth Simcock. I am Dave Berg. I'm going to be moderating today's session. So I'll be keeping an eye on the chat and also any questions that we have through save them for the end, and we'll have a chance for some Q&A at the end. But I'm going to just turn the time over to our two great presenters who have a great message to share with us today.
Awesome. Thank you, David. So we're all learning together here. We're going to do our best to stand up here and stand behind the podium again so that our folks on Zoom can hear us. And we're hoping also that this can be a very interactive session together. My name is Todd Schechter. I serve as Chief Technology Officer for our university. My pronouns are he, him, his, and it's a pleasure to be here together with Elizabeth Simcock.
Hi, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Simcock. Pronouns are she, her. I work in Do It, where I lead the Web Platforms and Services team in AIS. All right, let's get into the good stuff. So we're here to talk about trust. And this is something that gets talked about a lot. We already heard the word in this morning's presentation. It would be a fun game to see if we hear it in every single presentation mentioned at some point today. It wouldn't surprise me. But it's not just an abstract concept. It makes a real difference in how well we are able to do things and how well we are actually able to work together as teams, and more of what we're going to talk about today too as a campus. It's not necessarily all that easy to talk about. That's one of the things we're going to get into too. It's a nice feel-good concept, the idea of trust, but when we get into the idea of actually trusting, it's actually really hard. And it can challenge us to have to figure out how to do it and how to come back to it again. And so, it's being talked about a lot. Maybe some of you were part of Caitlin Eunice's session that she did yesterday. She ran a session out of the Office of Culture and Climate Engagement about trust within teams. And they were thinking about things that had come back from the climate survey and how that all plays together in building trust within our teams. We're going to take that and think about it at the university scale. And so we want to build on the idea here that good processes within our teams across our university are the ones that continually build and reinforce trust. And we'll talk a little bit about how we get to that point.
Slide.
So, quick agenda for today. Like I said, we're going to talk about why trust matters and whether it matters. We're going to talk a little bit about three components of trust. We're going to talk about a framework. We're going to talk through what it looks like to do that inside and outside of IT, what it looks like at the scale of our university, and then hopefully we'll send you away with a couple of things that you can think about for ways to help that grow for us all together as a university.
Slide. Let's learn from each other.
So before we get started, we're going to learn from each other. And a quick question, how many folks are on the Zoom? Because I have this set up as a Zoom poll.
61.
Okay. How many people in the room are on the Zoom?
One.
Two. Sweet. Okay. So here's our question. We're going to do this in two ways. We're going to, if we can, launch the Zoom poll for our first question. And we're going to ask it to the room, and we'll bring back what's coming back through the Zoom poll and see if we can bring this together. This is a little bit of a technical experiment here. So the poll question is this, scale of 1 to 10, and we can just do some shout outs in the room here. A scale of 1 to 10, how important is trust?
10 being very important, 1 being not so important.
Good clarity. We got 1, not important, 10, super important. Where are we going here?
I saw a 10, I saw something.
Oh,
look at there we go.
Nice. This
look
is
at this.
excellent
Awesome.
polling.
Yes.
Like getting high fives from everybody. All right, so what's coming back in the Zoom if we end our poll here?
Looks like we've got over half are saying 10.
All right, so
Are saying
okay, so
9.
this is the gimme. This is the easy question, right? You're probably all in this room. You connected to this presentation because you have some belief that trust is important. Let's ask something slightly more challenging. Let's go to our second question here. Is it more important for other people to trust you and your team? Or is it more important for you to trust other people and other teams? Got to pick one. So if you're in the room, if it's more important that people trust you, put your hand that's over on this side up. If it's more important that you trust other people, let's go this way.
Or both?
Room side. We'll go room side here. So more important that people trust you, more important that you trust other people. A little bit of a split here. We're getting some people dancing, right? So we're gonna,
Poll has 75% other people to trust you.
okay, 75%. And I think we had a little bit of a tilt that direction in this room as well. This one's a short answer. So aiming for 5 words or less if you're dropping something into the Zoom. If you're in the room, we're going to shout it out and we will repeat back unless you want to find your way to, I don't know where the mics are. So here's the question. Can we go to the third one in the Zoom poll? Yeah. All right. So what is needed for you to be able to trust another person or group? Couple of words. I hear relationships. I hear transparency. I hear communication. I hear safety. That's an interesting one.
I heard goals.
I heard, what was that? Shared goals? Goals? Shared goals. Something about process? Common sense.
Competency.
Competency.
I heard empathy as well. Empathy,
I
yeah.
heard some empathy. Time. Ooh, who's got time? Rapport. Okay. What are we getting back through the Zoom poll here? Sure. You gotta type fast, folks. Not you, the Zoom people. A couple of words we're hearing there.
We got, let's see, honesty, reliability, transparency, communication, accountability, integrity, demonstrated, openness, common, proactive, good, open, following, humor,
Ooh,
history,
nice.
engagement, goals, words, authenticity, passions. I think that's all.
Okay.
I like authenticity.
Authenticity is nice. Yeah, that's some really great pieces here. So what we have now is, thanks to all of you, we've got some ideas about trust. One last thing now that we're all warmed up, and this is why you have notebooks. If you didn't score one of the notebooks, open a blank doc, grab a piece of paper. This is going to be just for you. You do not have to show this list to anybody else. You can burn this later. You can trash the file, whatever you need to do, but just for yourself for a second. We're going to give you 60 seconds. Yeah, we got 60 seconds to this. We're going to give you 60 seconds. I want you to write down as many names as you can think of people on this campus who you trust. 60 seconds. Got about 20 seconds to go here. How's it going? Still coming up with more names.
Is this hard or is this easy? Easy? Good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. That's our 60 seconds. I love that so many of you were still actively scribbling. That's a really good sign. But we're going to come back to this list later and just think about, how far you got through what you might have written down, how long you think you might have needed to get all the way to the end of your list. We're going to come back to this. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Todd to talk a little bit about a framework for thinking about trust.
Great, thank you, Elizabeth.
Slide.
All right, so it was really cool to hear all the words that that folks kind of shouted out when we talked about trust. And I was going to share a bit of a framework here as we think about trust. This comes from an article that was in the Harvard Business Review. Happy to share the link to the article if you're interested in this. So we're kind of thinking in trust in terms of three pillars or three components. The first being competency, the second being sincerity, and the third being care and empathy. And let's talk about these. So these are kind of all things that came up when we asked people to shout out what was on their mind. But when I think about competency, I'm thinking about maybe consistency or thinking about follow through. I'm thinking about when we make mistakes. Mistakes are inevitable. How do we handle them? Do we own up to the mistake? Do we just do we try to hide the mistake, or do we own up to it and explain? We all make mistakes. We all work in technology. Technology is not always our best friend. And then what do we do to show that we're capable? What do we do to show that we are capable at doing our job, doing the project that we're working on, the task at hand? All of those kind of show up, I think, in the competency section. And then we move to sincerity. And I think about sincerity as how do you know we mean what we say? How do we come across that we really that we are sincere in the work that we're doing? Do the things that we communicate, do they align with our actions? How do we show that we're reliable? Think about sincerity and being reliable kind of hand in hand. And then how do we handle difficult situations or kind of uncomfortable truths? How do we work through those together? To me, that kind of speaks to sincerity. And then the third section around care and empathy. Thinking about that we really care about the other person. We care about how the other person feels. We care about what's going on with the other person. And do we stop and do we listen? We're going to talk about this a few times today, but do we stop and do we listen first? Do we understand what the other person might be struggling with? So many of us are working through things that are outside of work that definitely impact us at work. And do we care about each other? Do we begin a meeting by talking about what's on our minds, or do we jump right into the meat of the thing that we need to discuss? And then what makes a person feel seen or respected when we're working together? Kind of all those to me kind of fall into the area of care and empathy.
Slide. Wobble, where's mine? A diagram.
So then there's this idea of wobble. And some folks in this room have heard me talk about this before, where if we're not aligned on care and empathy, sincerity, and competency, if we wobble on any one of those, that can come across as maybe not trusting someone or not fully understanding their situation. And I want to give you an example of this that I think is pretty pertinent for something that we've been working through as an IT community of late. Who here is familiar with our Palo Alto firewalls? Who's heard about these? Yeah, these are big things. These are big network pieces of equipment that protect us on the UW campus from all sorts of malicious things that happen on the internet. We've had challenges with Palo Alto. And the challenges with Palo Alto have mostly been with the operating system code that they send us. It tends to be buggy. We tend to be the university that finds those bugs, for better or for worse. But it is very easy when we have a problem with our firewalls to instinctively think that, man, those network engineers that are administering those firewalls, they're not competent. They're not doing their job. They should have known that this was going to happen. It's very easy for our brains to go towards negativity, when in fact, if we understood the entire situation about how much our network engineers care about the quality of the network that they provide and the sincerity in which they go about doing their job, you would understand that they are extremely hesitant to deploy these different software updates on our Palo Alto firewalls. They go through so much testing that they do, both that we depend on from Palo Alto, as well as that we do locally on our campus. They start with a small firewall, then they work to the next bigger one, and then to the next bigger one. And unfortunately, sometimes these bugs come up despite our best testing. And so I try to approach these kinds of situations of understanding fully that our network engineers, they care deeply about the quality of the network that we provide on campus. They are extremely competent in the work that they do, and they are sincere in wanting to find this balance of providing both a safe and secure network, as well as understanding the needs of campus. And this has never been so more true with the rash of artificial intelligence driven patches that we've seen recently, where these patches have to be installed quickly. There's just no two ways about it. Otherwise, we're going to be compromised as a university. And our network engineers are so nervous when they apply these patches. So I offer this as an example where if I showed wobble in my estimation of how competent our network engineers are, that can come across as a very negative thing. When in fact, if I hear their story, if I learn their story, and if I learn what they're doing, then I can make a much better judgment on, you know what, they're actually really competent. They really, really care about our network. And there's this company out there called Palo Alto that, boy, if they only would do a better QA job with their software, maybe we wouldn't be the ones that are finding bugs for them. Maybe they should pay us for that too, but no, that's a different story. So I don't know, does this example resonate? Does anyone have an example of something similar that you might like to share? Okay, thanks. And for our online folks, we will repeat what I said here in just a second.
So I think for me, it's really easy to say, oh, I don't trust that person, or maybe that person doesn't trust me. It's super easy. What I've learned is to take this triangle and really think about, like, okay, what component of trust is missing? Because then that makes that difficult conversation that you're going to have with someone a lot easier. Because when you just say, I don't trust you, like that other person is going to get very defensive.
Yeah.
But if you have like a concrete example of like, you know, maybe they committed to something and they didn't deliver. So now you're in that sincerity component. It makes it a lot easier to have that back and forth conversation with someone and to remove that wobble and get back to a full triangle of trust.
And tell us who you are from SMPH, just so everyone knows.
I'm Heath, HPC engineer for SMPH.
Yeah, awesome. So Heath, thanks for thinking about that in relationship to the triangle and thinking about individual relationships that you have with someone. Y'all just did a really great matrix or writing down of people that you trust. I would encourage you to think about maybe the people or the groups that maybe you haven't trusted in the past, and dissect that just a little bit and be vulnerable to asking questions. Again, the network engineer example, it's super easy for me to say, oh man, we had a firewall crash. The network engineers, they don't know what they're doing. But in fact, when I ask the questions, when I build relationships, when I rely on those, then it's a totally separate story. So thank you for sharing that example. Any other examples folks would like to share? Okay, very good. Let's move on to our next slide then.
Slide.
So the other, kind of want to talk a little bit about building trust, both inside of IT, and then in the next slide, we'll talk about building trust outside of IT. We talked about listening, and I have to say, like, I think listening goes a long ways. We all have a story to tell. We're all very proud about the thing that we're doing, the project that we're supporting, the thing that we're trying to advance. Every one of us has a story that we want to tell. And as IT professionals, I think at least when we approach something from listening first, that's a huge way of building trust. If I'm having a conversation with Elizabeth And I want to learn about what Elizabeth, what she's up to, what her team is up to, the challenges that they're experiencing. If I come in with my own agenda, that's not going to go very far. But if I start from a position of listening, you know, I think that is super helpful for all of us. One great thing on this campus is that there are many different communities that we can be a part of. We talk about shared frameworks, we talk about shared governance. There are many different advisory councils, governance groups, different communities of practice. Just the act of being here today, whether you're joining us in person or online at this conference, this gives us just an incredible opportunity to connect with folks, to reach out to the person that you don't know, to ask their questions. How are you doing? What are you up to? What are the kinds of things that you're working on? And really work to build those cross-team relationships. Whether it's me within the Division of Information Technology, reaching out to a colleague at the libraries or the School of Education, the School of Medicine and Public Health, the College of Ag Life Sciences, the Department of Math. These are just great opportunities to work across our university and work on building those relationships. And then the last one here is thinking about being an energizer. And this is not the Energizer bunny that just kind of goes on and on forever. This is the person that sees possibilities. This is the person that can turn a challenge into an opportunity and gives their full attention to the person that they're speaking with, the person that they're learning with, the group that they're learning from. So thinking about seeing the possibilities that are within the challenges that we all operate in is some of the ideas around being an energizer.
Slide.
And, you know, I often say that because we work in IT, we're kind of in everyone's business, right? There's very few things that happen on this campus without IT. And that means that we have to be able to speak to people that are outside of our circles, that are outside of IT. And so, you know, maybe it's having a conversation with a finance person. Shout it out. What's maybe a challenge that someone that works in finance or HR has had over the last year on our campus? One word. Thank you. Workday. Workday. For those online, I just said the word workday. It's a real challenge though. Like for us in IT, maybe it works okay because we log into it, we click our buttons for a time, we submit our note we've taken at the end of the month, and then we're done in Workday. But for those that work in Workday all the time, it has been a challenging year for them. And so as IT professionals, when we're working with HR professionals, when we're working with finance professionals, showing empathy, care for them in the challenges that they've had with Workday, it'll get better. Of course it will. We knew this was going to be a bumpy year. And to those that are part of the Workday teams, we know you're working really hard on this. But I think it's important that when we talk with folks outside of IT, that we really, we work to not use our jargon. We have many TLAs and FLAs, and we can do abbreviations back and forth this way, up, that way, up and down. No one else inside of IT cares about those though. And so thinking about their language, thinking about the language that works for them. And I would say, if you have the opportunity to be part of a community that works with folks outside of IT, please take that opportunity. I got an email this morning asking if I would present to a group of facilities folks on AI. I don't know exactly what they want yet, but I think that's an amazing opportunity to build a relationship between IT and facilities. And absolutely, we're going to follow up and make sure that happens. So thinking about the people in your circle, whether you work with research admin folks, whether you work with advisors, whether you work with faculty members, with other staff members, think about the people outside of IT that you work with, how you can kind of navigate that path to yes, where when someone comes to us with a crazy idea that we're like, oh my gosh, really? There's a reason that they're coming to us, and that's because they trust us. And we might have a different idea of how to like navigate the right way to do something. And oftentimes I find if we can help provide that path to yes, that's exactly what they're looking for. If we're seen as a roadblock, if we're seen as the department of no, then you know that just becomes much more challenging for us in the future. So yeah, I hope this helps. Like I hope it helps to think about how we build trust within IT and then the responsibility and the opportunity that we have to build trust outside of IT.
Slide.
And I will turn things back over to Elizabeth.
So this is all a lot of really good advice. These are a lot of things that we talk about in various spaces when we talk about trust. Here's the thing, we're all human. And sometimes an action that we take can positively impact one group while actually causing trouble for another group. There are imposed timelines that can impact things. This idea of trying not to be a department of no also doesn't mean we can be the department of yes to everything. And so,
Funny how that works.
so, we don't always know how our actions are going to impact all of the groups across campus or the group next to us. Even when we're trying to do all of this listening, even when we're trying to do things. And back to this piece about being human, we make mistakes. I'm sure I made 15 last week. We don't have to work very hard to think of a time when maybe we could have done something in a way that would have helped some other team trust us, hold their trust in us, continue trusting us. But here's the thing, when we make those mistakes, when you make those mistakes, and all of us will, how do we hope somebody else thinks about that mistake? Do we hope that they think of it as the definition of who we are? Do we hope that they decide our team isn't one they can work with clearly, so they're going to have to go figure something else out? Or do we hope that they see it as an honest mistake or overlapping priorities or overlapping timelines and something that we can talk through together and find a new path forward? I want that second one. And I want to figure out how as a campus we can extend that idea out to the people around us too. When a network problem happens, when a website goes down, and this list can go on forever. We all know things happen. How do we recover from those? How do we keep working together and keep trusting that the next time we can learn and can do something together better the next time around? So the key here is that we need to trust that people might be open to thinking about things that way. This is where I said this starts to get really hard.
Slide. Perfection is impossible, and it won't solve the puzzle.
We know that perfection is not possible. Not possible for me, not possible for any of us. And even if we were perfect, I don't know what perfect is, even if we were perfect, it's not going to solve the problem for us as a campus. This room, this university are full of people who are sincere about the work that they do, who care about the people around them, who care about the mission of the university, who are all working toward that in the best way that they can, in the space that they're in the constraints that they're in. But our survey results still say that we have issues trusting across campus broadly. So what do we do about that? Let's go back to one of those questions at the top. I asked before, is it more important for other people to trust you or for you to trust other people? We're going to hold on to this idea for a second.
Slide. Trust at scale.
Because here's what our campus is. This is what happens when we start talking about scale. It goes off the slide. We can't even see the ends of the arrows anymore. Our first priority in a decision we're making has to understand our own space. We may have a priority that impacts how we do something, that comes to us from someone close to us, from a department chair, from local faculty, from something within our direct line of supervisors. And those little things, those are the ones that the people far away from us on campus have the least chance of knowing anything about. So what if our goal for the next year, your goal for the next year, was to build your ability to trust others on campus? What does that actually mean in practice? It sounds really good. Ooh, that's backwards. Come on, there we go.
Slide.
So We're going to do one more thing to try and understand the scale. Let's say we all agree this is a good idea. We all want to start trusting other people. So all of those things that were shouted out at the beginning, we had all these ideas about trust. Let's go back to that list at the beginning that you all started writing. I'm not going to make anybody reveal their number that they got through in their 60 seconds. But within that minute, let's just, quick show of hands. Anybody get more than 20? If you'd had, we got a couple, you have a fast writer.
Yeah, slow.
And if you'd had 15 minutes, would you have gotten more than 50? I'm seeing some nodding. This is great. Guests from the room. We talked about inside IT. We talked about outside IT. I'm trying not to wander. Sorry, camera. We talked about inside and outside. Let's just think about within IT for a second on this campus. Who has a guess for how many people work in IT or IT adjacent roles on this campus?
We heard 3,000.
We heard 3,000. Closest to the correct number. Got a prize in my pocket. Sorry, Zoom people. If somebody on Zoom names exactly the right number and didn't know it from me ahead of time.
We heard 7,000, we heard 1,000.
Oh, we're going for jelly beans now.
Price is right.
Closest without going over. All right, fair.
I got 10,000 online on Zoom from Daniela.
We got 10,000. Woo. All right, I think.
Okay, John.
Okay, moment of honesty. Who in this room was closest to this number? The number is about 1,700. Who do we have? Was that you that's closest? Maybe jelly beans? All right. Pick my birthday. All right. Don't run when this is clipped on, it turns out. All right, 1,700. So let's do a little light math. Let's say that we think about those things that you all called out as things that are necessary for you to be able to trust another group or a person on campus. A lot of this had something to do with knowing something about that person, about that group. People called out relationship. People called out all kinds of things that suggest maybe you'd work together on something in the past. 1,700 people. So let's pretend that we're all very, very social humans. Let's say that we all set a goal to meet one new person a week. That sounds like a lot, maybe. But let's just try this, one new person a week. Can I get a volunteer who's got a calculator app on their phone or who is really good at math in their head? Got a hand in the front row? All right, we got a calculator going here. So 1,700 people, 52 weeks in a year. Can you divide by 52? 1,700 by 52, what do we get? 32.7.
34 years-ish on Zoom.
All right, 32.7. What's our units here? Playing math teacher now.
Years.
32.7 years. You decide you're going to meet one person a week. I'll see you for your Lifetime Achievement Award. It's not plausible. There is no space in which we are going to know everybody else who works in IT on campus. Never mind all the people outside IT that Todd was just talking about. We're not going to know them individually, maybe. We're not going to know their groups. We're not going to know the details of what their chair walked into a meeting and said to them had to be done in 2 weeks. We're not going to know these things. And so there's this piece of bias that comes in. We have to figure out how to trust people we don't know. We have to figure out how to trust people we think we know. We have to figure out how to trust a team that we tried to work with in the past and it really didn't go well. And that was like 10 years ago, but it really didn't go well. And it's actually all different people on that team, but it's still that team, right? Because, that team. It's not going to work. We can't get there by deciding that we're going to know everybody. So this is what, if you've been reading along on the top of the slide, this is what I'm thinking of as the good challenge. How do we do this? And can we use anything out of this framework to start thinking about where we go from here? Because now we've gone from this nice tight framework where everything feels really possible because we've broken it down into Holy smokes. Now what? So we're not going to leave you on the down end of this, I promise.
Slide, trusted scale. A quote and a bullet point list.
There are a lot of really good writings about trust. And one of the things they talk about is how easy it is to lose trust. Raise your hand if you've read something about how easy it is to lose trust once you've built it. You've gone to all this work to build it. Yeah.
And all it takes is one interaction.
One interaction. Yeah.
Right. All it takes is an interaction with a faculty member where you've spent years of your career building a trust relationship with a faculty member. You've been entrusted in spending their grant funds. You've been entrusted in running their compute cluster. And it's amazing. All it can take is one bad day.
So that's not going to work for us either, but it's very human. It's very human to have that be the thing. And there's a piece of me that worries that if we talk about this framework, that what we're actually handing you is a way for you to look at other groups and go, well, I can see from this framework that they actually don't seem to care about me because they're not listening. And you can use this framework to identify reasons why you don't trust somebody else. Please don't do that. We have to continually bias ourselves toward thinking about what it means to trust somebody or some group or some part of campus that we don't know, that we haven't worked with before, even when we mostly work in our own little bubble. Maybe there are some folks on campus who mostly see other people on campus at something like this. And the rest of the time you got your square of space in your brain where you're holding all the things. But turns out you need the network, or you need that cool research thing that SMPH is putting together, or you need
Security tools.
some cybersecurity tools, or you got to figure out this AI thing. These moments where we have to find that, we've got to find this way to step into a way to trust each other, even when we don't know what's coming.
Slide.
So we wanted to talk just a little bit about what does that trust look like? What does that trust look like across the university? You know, like I mentioned, our work spans across the entirety of the university. And I think that's one of the great things about UW-Madison is that it is fairly easy for us to work between different schools, colleges, and departments. It's what we do. We have to do that to maintain our progress. And you know, I think a lot about the biases that each of us bring and how we can work to intentionally minimize those. We are always going to have biases. That is just human nature. It is also human nature to think about how can we minimize those biases. How can we move beyond the thing that happened a long time ago that maybe we have a long memory of? And you know, I see folks in the room here from the Smart Access team. I see folks in the room here who are working on Campus Active Directory. I see folks in the room here who are working on AI tools. I see folks in the room here who are working on very secure research environments for HIPAA control data. Each of those groups have to work across the university. That's the kind of the thing that we have to do here. And it's you know, and I think it speaks to the relationships that we're building, the relationships that we lean on. And again, it's how we get things done at this university. Each of you that are here today, whether you're joining us online or you're here in person in the room, has an opportunity to build these relationships. There's often a saying that you know, this university runs on relationships, and relationships are the capital that we have, and that we build that capital over time. And that when something doesn't go quite right, that's when we spend that capital. When something doesn't go quite right in the College of Engineering and I have to reach out to John Miner, that's based on a relationship that I've had with John for the last 6 years. And that's based on the trust that we have in each other. When something happens in the School of Medicine and Public Health and I reach out to my colleague, Jeff Corum over here, that's based on the lunch that we got 6 months ago and the conversation that we had and the mutual understanding that we built of each other. These are things that each one of us can do that I would encourage you to do, to look at the folks that are sitting behind you at the table today and meet someone new, build that relationship, because you never know when you're going to need to really rely and to lean into that relationship. And so I would ask the folks in this room and those who are joining us online as well, What else is unique about building trust in IT? What makes our business unique? And I'd love to hear the answers, the things that you might be thinking about. What makes IT and building trust within IT unique that you might like to share with others? And David's got a microphone here. If you're joining us on Zoom, we're watching the chat. Feel free to share some ideas in the chat.
I think that to some extent, folks perceive us to be brilliant and know things they don't know, and somehow we're gonna walk in and make them feel dumb. Or there might be that idea that IT is something special that only special people know about. And so when folks reach out to us, if we make that ask a lot easier and not lead with that kind of like, oh, did you turn it off and went back on again sort of thing? It's a little exchange instances coming towards IT is gonna go up. So I think building it just in those small micro exchanges that you have and recognizing how we're perceived by our titles, the area we work in alone.
Yeah, I love that idea. I love that idea where we're meeting with someone in their office, they've got a challenge there. They might feel nervous about coming and talking to us in the first place. And if we make them feel good about whatever it is that they're coming to us, they're probably going to come back to us again when they need us even more. And you know, when I think about some of the challenges that we've had recently with AI and data leaving the university that maybe shouldn't have. It's heartwarming to me that people come tell us that, and that they're not afraid to tell us that. Everyone's going to make a mistake. And if they had a bad experience with you as an IT professional the last time, they're probably unlikely to come back to us when they really need us and when. There we go. Let's try that again. Thanks. Look at that.
Teamwork.
Yeah, teamwork is teamwork. But they're going to come back to us when they really need us. Was there one over here? Yes.
Yeah, it's, I kind of love up with expressing curiosity and what they're bringing to us as well, to learn from their side, to go ahead and actually have the energy to contribute. And you mentioned it earlier in one of the slides was the energizer and having the energy to be open and listen and then approach things that you haven't done before. You become a part of the team instantly in that project when you do that. So.
Yeah, so approaching things from curiosity and not having the answer and asking folks what's on their mind. Absolutely. Yeah. What else makes building trust across the university unique for IT? We got another person here with their hand up. And do us a favor, introduce yourself if you wouldn't mind.
Hey everybody, I'm Jake Wilkinson. I'm from SMH IT. One thing I think about is like the word of intimacy, and so like I'm in like a central position where I automate a lot of research flows, and when I meet with stakeholders, there's like they're kind of guarded. They have these workflows that they need help with, and you know, moving data from one place to another, and they're being told by their colleagues that oh, there's a lot of inefficiencies, there's a lot of pain points, and so we want to point you back IT to kind of work that out. And so the trust that we need to build in a short amount of time involves intimacy and kind of like peering into their day-to-day life and not criticizing them from an angle where they feel uncomfortable, but from building that trust so we can really learn all the requirements and really get down to this.
And how do you do that? Do you ask about their science? Do you ask about the awesome research that they're doing so that you can get a better understanding of what it is that's driving them?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is the human connection and just like over time learning what excites them and be able to, you know, we have different languages, like they have domain expertise, and I have the technology that I can offer them that can, you know, put a lot of things in the background and have these processes that they don't have to touch or think too much about and run on a daily basis. And so, we do that by just, you know, being friendly and, you know, opening up the line of communication and trying to figure out where the vocabulary crosses and then kind of learn from each other. So I really like it because I get to work with a lot of researchers and kind of like learn what excites them most.
Yeah. And John here, I think maybe.
Yeah, John, my college of engineering. Similarly, though, I find that going into their space, I am deliberately not using Zoom or not having them coming into our meeting rooms and going, aside from of course in engineering, it's usually some sort of really interesting thing apparatus they have or dangerous apparatus, but fun to go find out, but that sort of connection that way. Cause yeah, and always recognizing that they know way more about at least that specific thing than I know.
Yeah.
Thing preferably.
Yeah, John, I love that idea of going to their space. You know, like you say, it is so easy for us to hit the button for Teams or Zoom, but boy, it means so much when we go to their space. And I think about that from an IT perspective as well. When we go to other people's offices, when we take the initiative to go across campus, that just means a lot and it builds a different type of relationship, I think.
Yeah, or even other people spaces,
Yeah.
of course, kind of defeats it, but like joining to meet Sue over there, right? You know, or the other way around.
Yeah.
You know, it works that way.
Yeah.
You get to see each other's cool server.
Yeah.
Not really so cool anymore. Or sometimes reason, as I see.
We had one come in online.
Oh,
too.
what do we got online?
Got,
Oh, okay. Yeah, from Jeff Schockler. So trust also requires leaving space for people to make mistakes. We all mess up and we have to allow for that and work together to positively move past those moments together. Thank you, Jeff Schockler online. Yes, another couple in person here.
I think one element, oh, sorry, analytics, campus libraries, one element that is common to IT, but maybe not in a great way, is the challenge that we are often in the face of implementing tools that maybe aren't people's favorites, or that we are seen as the face of, whether it's the LMS or another tool like Workday. Like, how do we build trust when we are sort of just implementing what we've been told to implement?
Yeah, does that one resonate with others where there's the thing that we have to do that maybe we don't exactly want to do, but we have to do, and we're the front line, we're the face of that sometimes. Yeah. Jennifer, oh. Was there another idea? Yeah.
I think one thing that's unique is like disaster recovery, like the saying goes, everything's working, like why do we need IT? Oh, it's broken. Where's IT planning for it? A lot of times you go into a situation and it's like, nobody's calling IT because everything's working fine. Folks decide on to like, hey, there's something wrong, we should fix it. And it's kind of starting off the company and saying, hey, how can we fix this big problem that you're also having? Like, it's never walked into a great, perfect situation. A lot of the time it's something went horribly wrong and we'll fix it, or want to better preventative.
Yeah, really good point about disaster recovery. Obviously we see these. What's the last one that we saw?
Yeah.
Canvas, right? Single word. What did we do during Canvas? We tried to get out ahead of that as much as we could. We tried to share as much information as we could, as timely as possible. And I think that strategy, whenever there's a major incident, whenever there's the thing that goes bump in the middle of the night, us getting out ahead of that and at least letting folks know that, hey, yeah, we're working on this. We're doing the best that we can. Some of these things obviously are vendor driven that are out of our control. Sometimes they are within our control though, and sometimes they are things that we have to work through. But I really like that idea that something that makes unique IT unique is that disaster recovery element. And so, thinking about how can we be the face of that? How can we be proactive in our communication? Let's see, we got Mary Beth Spurl online. Accepting that everyone has different skills is important. A lot of times when I'm helping someone with IT, a lot of times when I'm helping someone with IT, they will say they are stupid bad at IT, and I let them know it's not a matter of being stupid, it's just different. I may know how to fix their computer, but I don't know how to deal with all the responsibilities of their jobs. Making sure that they understand that you are on their side is important. Yeah, so that whole kind of that understanding the context that the person is in that we're trying to help. And then from Christina online, to Sean's point, sending nice notes to people when things are going well. Absolutely. Any other ideas? 10 minutes, okay. Any other ideas?
I'm Sue Wonder.
Hey, Sue.
College of Literacy Science. I think one thing that hasn't been mentioned that makes it really difficult in IT across the campus is that disparity between the edge and our cutting edge needs and the center, which is our solid foundational enterprise services. technology moves super fast. It's moved faster in the last decade than I remember. And I don't know that we have found a good way to bridge that. How do we keep the people on the edge doing the right thing and doing it safely and not using the first tool that comes along? The enterprise tools aren't meeting their needs. So I think that's really hard. It's hard for the IT staff that are supporting the researchers. And it's hard for the enterprise staff who are like, we just deployed this. This is a great tool. You should use it. So that I think contributes to kind of the campus-wide trust environment.
And Sue, I would say that's no more ever clear than in the space of AI, where AI is moving fast. People want to use tools, and it's really challenging to deliver those at an enterprise level. Just as one example that I was thinking about when you said that. Jen, we're not here yet.
It's working, not forever, because that's very, I think the big thing about like trust from IT to the non-IT folks, making our work visible. I find it in general, we kind of stuck at that. Like our metrics are like, well, these are the number of machines that we have, these are the patches that are missing, but when things are going right, we'll be able to see all the work that goes into. This is how many patches were applied in last week by this team. This team has 3 people, they're maintaining 1,000 servers. Like we need to publish more that showcase things are more like visible to people, because when things are going right, I assure you there's a lot of work that's going underneath behind the scenes that's not being looked at. And you know, that is helps showcase non-IT people's values and also establish trust with non-IT folks. We're not just sitting in our offices like watching Netflix. That's what I do, but I'm not saying that.
You know, and I love that, because that really speaks to telling the stories of our work. In our stories of our work, we do this work 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and it never stops. And so many times people don't see the things that we fixed, the things that we prevented before it becomes a service impacting outage. And being able to tell those stories to your department head, to your own team, to our IT community as a whole, I think are really important. I know that's something that our communications group is interested in as well, is hearing those story ideas. Excellent point, Jen. Good time for one last maybe?
One last maybe? Yeah.
One last, yes, Laura.
Hi, Laura Grady with the Center for User Experience. And a lot of our work right now is centered around digital accessibility and making sure that we are, as a university, meeting the DOJ rule to make sure that all of our digital content is accessible. And so we work with partners all across the campus to help folks remediate, help folks understand what it means to apply best practices for digital accessibility. So really providing those reassurances and telling folks like, hey, it's okay. We're here to partner with you. We're here to help teach you. No question is dumb. No question is silly. That just that we're all working together toward this big goal and that we're here to support you.
Yeah, great example, Laura. And I think about your example, Laura, around the digital accessibility initiative. I think about that same thing every time the fall semester rolls around, and how big of a lift it is to prepare the university for the start of fall classes. And we're here as a community together to support each other. Absolutely.
Slide.
All right. Hey, thank you everybody for your comments and thoughts. Was there any chat that we needed to?
There were a few things in chat, which I'll encourage you all to log into and dig into, because there's plenty of good content, but I think we need to go for time. So we want to give you a little something to take away with it. It's a 5-minute mark, not a high five. A little something to take, we go again. Okay, I'm gonna swap back.
Look at us.
We know how to do this now. Okay. Also gonna do that because I talk with my hands too much. Little something to take away with you today. So coming back to this idea, what if your goal for the next year was to build your ability to trust? Not just to be trustworthy, but to build your ability to trust. it's really important that we all behave and work in ways, and we just talked about so many of those, that help others understand that we are trustable. And the problem is we know that even if we do all of that, we still can't know everybody. We still can't know every priority that just shifted in a unit that we were working with, that maybe they tell you about and maybe they don't. The same way that Todd mentioned, a lot of folks, most of us, all of us have things that happen outside our work world. And we don't come in to every meeting and say, man, I got to tell you about this thing because it's really awful and it's really impacting how I'm thinking about my work. We don't do that with our work things either. We have something that's kind of, that we're trying to manage over here and figure out how to make work. And we're having this really positive ongoing meeting over here. And we don't necessarily bring that information into this meeting, even though if these people understood that, it might help. So what do? A little bit of an action plan. And this is, we have a choose your own adventure built into this. So you have that list from the beginning. Take a look at that list and think about where on campus those people are. Take some more time, write your list longer if you need to, but think about where on campus those people are that you identified. See if you can identify some space across campus, some group across campus, some person whose name you saw fly by in chat and you're like, I don't know who that person is. Identify that person. Here's the choose your own adventure part. If you are yay social, take the standard advice, go set up, reach out to them, say, hey, I would love to learn about what you all do in your area. I don't have a project I'm working on with you. I just don't realize I don't know about what your chunk of the world does. And I would love to know more. And can we go have coffee? Can you tell me about what things are like in your space? That's it. That's if you're social. Here's the antisocial, not antisocial. I have talked to enough people. I was just at a conference all day version of this. Take that name, and before you leave today, sometime in the next 2 weeks, look at your calendar, book an hour on your calendar sometime in the next 2 weeks. You don't have to talk to anybody. Book the hour on your calendar and take that hour, the full thing, and research as much as you can about some area that wasn't represented on your list of people. Pick a department somewhere, pick a group somewhere on campus. It can be IT, it can be not IT, I don't care. Pick something, read the news stories out of the Department of Urology. Read about what their faculty are publishing. Maybe you don't interact much with cybersecurity. You can learn a lot on our websites. There's an amazing amount of information on them. There's an amazing amount of information on our KBs. Just take some time and learn about some group that you don't know here. Because even if you don't meet those people, you're not going to meet 1,700 people. You're not going to meet 3,000 people in the next year. I love you if you try. Just learning something about those other groups is going to shift how your brain works when you come into a situation to support them, or they're coming to you for support sometime in the future. People move around on this campus all the time. We talked about group membership shifting. Somebody who's in one of those groups right now is going to be, I used to be an SMPH. I know a lot about how SMPH works, but now I'm not. And so I had to come and I had to learn a whole new space, but then I started thinking about other spaces I don't know about. So this is your takeaway action plan for today. Choose your own adventure, go social, go not social, don't care. Book that hour in your calendar somewhere, use it with a person or use it for research. And if you use it with a person, maybe book another one for research. Just learn. And then check in with yourself. Use this framework to think about, are there things I can have conversations I can have to help repair something that where I know there's a little bit of a disconnect right now. We've all probably got one of those. And then lastly, we talk about kudos a lot. We talk about kudos for good projects. Our last ask for you today is, could you make trust something that you notice and that you call out when you see it happening in other spaces? Is there a team that reached out somewhere and that reach out made a difference in how the work was able to happen? Call out the fact that that trust was built as part of the story that you tell, and make that part of how we communicate with each other on campus.
Slide, a quote. What will you do differently tomorrow? Dr. Leslie Peterson.
All right, with that, thank you all so much for your time. And we're going to leave you with this quote of, what will you do differently tomorrow? We appreciate you being here with us today. We appreciate how open and vulnerable everyone was, whether you're in the room or joined us on Zoom. And we hope that this hour together was helpful. Thank you all so much.
Elizabeth Simcock and Todd Schechter.